You're listening to No Apology with Emily and Chris. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying with us. Love to have you along. We're laughing louder, digging deeper, and living larger.
You are tuned into a very special broadcast of No Apology with Emily and Chris. This is the Higher Ground Conference preview show. The Higher Ground Conference
Preview show.
Preview show. We have Al Robertson and Al and his wife Lisa are joining us on the program today, as is comedian Brad Stine and Rob Roozeboom from Rise Ministries, who's another special guest to the conference. It's happening in Harlan, Iowa. You can buy individual tickets. Thursday night is the big comedy show. It's going to be my son Jacob's going to open for national comedian Brad Stine's going to be in the house with an hour-long set that is sure to please.
He's funny.
The next night, on Friday night, Al and Lisa Robertson are going to headline. We have some other guest speakers throughout the weekend. And then Saturday morning from 9 to noon, there is going to be some incredible encouragement and Bible teachings. We're going to interview them all on this program.
Yeah.
And so it is no granny rant. There's no Bible Idiots deep dive. We're just going to go forward with that. But Emily, you thought that maybe we should start with at least one of our standard bits just for fun on this Higher Ground Conference week.
I hate to forget it. You know, it's like you're driving away from a restaurant. You leave your kid in the restaurant. Like, that's how it feels if we didn't do Right On Way Off, right? And by the way,
that means we got to bring in Mike.
Let's bring in Mike, because what you did fail to mention with the Higher Ground Conference is Mike's going to make a little bit of an appearance as well.
That's right. Saturday morning, Mike Shaw is going to actually have a little presentation.
Yeah. So, welcome.
I should write it then, huh?
Yeah. I want to get on there.
I better get to work.
Well, you got to do comedy on Thursday. You got to speak on Friday. I'm not till Saturday, so I'll be good. Yeah,
I'll write it Friday night. It'll be good.
You are an honorary Danielson, so it's kind of an all-in-the-family event.
Yeah, all in the family event for sure.
But let's play Right On, Way Off.
Okay.
So,
that's the only bit we're doing is Right On Way Off. Then we're going to have three guests, Al and Lisa, then Brad Stine, then Rob Roozeboom. So stay with us throughout the whole show.
All right.
It's going to be fun.
Okay, so we're going to get this out of the way. Again, like a child. Get it taken care of, get them out of the way for the good stuff to happen.
Did you say you left me behind in the restaurant? Is that what you said?
I don't know, but you look like you were getting ready to fight because you shifted your shoulders and then you went... All right, here we go.
Okay, we're going to play Right On, Way Off. Of course, if you listen for any length of time, you know that I'm going to throw three statements out there. Chris and Mike are going to tell me whether they think the statements are right on or way off, and then I will tell them if they're right or if they're wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong. But Mike won last time, so
that's fine.
Put your thinking cap on there, dear.
Yeah.
You got it on.
Remember, this is for entertainment purposes only.
Don't try this at all.
You have a Raceway hat on.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to bode well for a thinking.
Berlin Raceway. Love
Don't
Berlin.
try this at home. We are professionals.
It's a long story. I didn't know I was recording today.
All right. Are you ready for the first statement?
I am. Let's hit us.
We'll start with you, Chris. The statement is joy comes from abiding in Him, in Jesus, not from the absence of problems in our life. Is that right on or is that way off?
That's right on.
All right.
That's right on.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because Jesus is our portion and He gives us joy in our circumstances. When Paul talks about the peace that passes all understanding, that's what happens. Right in the middle of something that's just awful. You know, and the phrase we used to use is, it just, well, I'm not going to use the phrase. It might not be appropriate.
Well, then don't.
Emily's like, no, don't. I know what you're going to say.
Wouldn't be the first inappropriate thing you've done on the show.
Let's just put it this way. When things really bite,
yes,
and it's real, it would bite for you, it'd bite for anybody.
Yeah.
There are many times in the middle of that, Jesus will come and speak to you and lift you up out of that and give you a joy. And mostly it's because we know that our treasure's in heaven, where we're living for the world to come. And so, yes, we want good things in this world, but when we don't get them and when bad stuff happens and when hurts happen, we can still have the joy of the Lord. And that doesn't mean that you have to avoid all grief, you have to avoid all pain, you have to avoid everything. No, it's in the middle of that. I
like to avoid those things.
I do too, but in the middle of all that, you can still find that, hey, even though all of this is awful, I still have joy of the Lord. And it goes back to thankfulness. And I go to Johnny Erickson Tata and her appearance in the movie Bible Idiots. She said, I'm thankful for all things. I'm not thankful, or I'm thankful in all things. I'm not thankful for all things. Let me get it right if I'm going to quote her. She's like,
here's the quote. Wait, that's wrong.
I can be thankful while I'm in this chair. I can even be thankful for the chair, even though I don't want to be in this chair.
Right,
that's what she said in
all
Bible
things.
readings.
You don't have to be thankful for all things. All right, Mike, what do you think? Is there any hidden phraseology in there that might lead you to disagree? Joy comes from abiding in Jesus, not from an absence of problems in our life.
That is right on.
All right.
In this world you will have troubles. Take heart. I have overcome the world, says the Lord. And you have to think about this. So what is happiness? Yeah. Happiness is the same root word as happenstance.
Right.
So your happiness depends on your happenstance. Are things going great? You're happy. Are things not going so great? You're not happy.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's called life.
Yeah.
And I would rather go through life with God on my side, with Jesus by my side, than without. And you know what else?
What?
Jesus says he is close to the brokenhearted.
Yeah.
And I think all of us who are in Christ have experienced that at one time or another, where you're in worship before church and you're bawling your eyes out and you feel the presence of the Lord so strong. I would rather have that than, a day at Coney Island.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Difference between happiness and joy. I like that. I think that's very clarifying. And you're both correct. Bravo. You each have a point.
Yay.
All right. Statement number 2. If you're not spiritually fed, you will be emotionally led. Mike, what do you think about that statement? If you're not spiritually fed, you will be emotionally led.
Right on.
Yeah?
Oh, my goodness.
Tell me why.
Well, because you have to build your house in the rock, not on the shifting sand. And so if you're rooted in biblical principles because, I don't know, you read the Bible and that you spend time with God in prayer.
So what you're saying is if you want to know what's in the Bible, you should read the Bible?
That's probably a good idea. Okay. And then maybe you should
Sage
listen to good teaching. There are people in the world, and it's in God's word, that are specifically designed to be teachers and pastors. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you want those in your life, and sit under good teaching, and there's lots of it out there. Find a good church where you are, and also you can listen to lots of other people. So, get in the Bible, get into good teaching, spend time with God, then you will be rooted in his principles, and then you won't be emotionally led. You'll know what the truth is, and it will make you free.
I like that answer. Chris, are you able to expound, or do you disagree? If you are not spiritually fed, you will be emotionally led.
That is right on.
Okay.
As you're spiritually fed, you grow beyond just simple emotions. Your emotions can betray you. Okay, and I'll just leave you with this thought. There are thousands upon thousands of lives that are just on the scrap heap of civilization because of the phrase, follow your heart. Do what your dreams tell you. Here, when you're spiritually fed, your dreams become lined up with what God wants for you. And then if you don't accomplish them, if you don't have them, if his sovereignty is such that you don't get what you're hoping for, there's just this, okay, God, that's cool. What else do you want me to do? Where else can we go? How else can we do this? But you stay in that lane of spiritual growth, and you are not emotionally tossed to and fro. There's great emotions, don't get me wrong, but your emotions don't dominate and control you to where you have to follow your heart, and that's the most important thing in the world. Wow. And that actually, you become then a God, and then you try to make Jesus your genie in a bottle servant.
Yeah, very
and
good.
That's all I have to say.
I like that. All right. You're both right on. Wow, it's a tie. You guys are doing really good.
2 points apiece.
Now, this next one's a little harder, so I'm just going to warn you. Think it through.
All right.
Just think it through.
Are we going to have a fun one, or are we going to keep having Dr. Obvious theological questions?
If you don't like Dr. Obvious theological questions, which you have gotten wrong before, by the way, I don't want to remind you that you once disagreed with Henry or Richard Blackaby.
No, just
but you did.
Just remember. Before I ever brought you on the air, I had a call-in sports talk show. I also did play-by-play for so many thousands of games of sports, hundreds of games of basketball, hockey, football. And as a call-in talk show, there was a time I was with other reporters on a bigger show than what I had as the host of my show. And I was told that the bit we're going to do on the air is the greatest sports rivalry. And I was given Duke, North Carolina basketball.
I'm sorry.
In other words, I had to advocate that had to be the number one. It's radio theater.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this bit is called Right On, Way Off.
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to have opinions and we want to be theologically correct. But it was supposed to be fun and you're supposed to come up with some creative statements. So let's see what you got for number 3.
All right. Listen carefully.
I am.
Think critically.
I am.
All right. We're going to go with you, Chris.
I'm up first?
Yes,
Okay.
we're going to go with you. Here's the statement, and it comes from moi. So you don't even have to guess. Here's the statement. When we order pizza, Chris prefers the larger half. Is that right on, or is that way off?
I am a giving person, and I'm also dieting. So I am way off. I do not prefer the larger half.
Why do you don't prefer the larger half?
Of a pizza.
Right.
Yeah, like a pizza that's split for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's like cut just a little bit off center so that there's a larger half and a smaller half, I always take the smaller half out of humility and out of love.
All right. Mike's been over for dinner enough, I think, to have an opinion on this.
Yeah.
When we order pizza, Chris prefers the larger half. Is that right on or is that way off?
So my first answer is the smart alecky answer. It's way off because by definition
I meant that.
Yeah.
there's no such thing in math as a larger half. It's half.
Ding, ding, ding,
Oh. When I clarified saying, because we do a frozen.
Wait,
like these
that was
smaller,
the right answer?
We do these. I'll give you the ding.
That's awesome.
We do these smaller frozen pizzas that is for 2 people. And when you cut it, sometimes you might cut it just a little off. And I asked her, I said, you mean when it's a little off center? Because
you did clarify. It's true. There's no such thing as a larger half.
We were really.
What school did you go to, dude?
We were really skinny. We were really skinny on money back when we first got married. Let me tell the story. We were really skinny on money, so we decided we were going to split a quarter pounder, and we cut it. And it was one of those where one side was obviously a little larger than the other. Yeah. And I just thought, I'm the man. I'm working hard. I need more calories. I just grabbed the larger half, and she got mad.
I don't blame her.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I felt so horrible from that. And that was 1986. Yeah. Okay, this is
wow.
This is 37 years ago. But
carry a grudge much?
No, it's not a grudge. It's carry guilt.
This lesson is
really carry guilt. It's like
I
do not want to be that doorknob of a guy. Yeah. And so I've always taken the smaller side from that day forward. So.
Like a spanked puppy.
I am right on.
Chris learns his lesson. All right. So you both technically got the question right because you both said it's way off, but Mike knew why. So I'm taking 2 points away from you, Chris.
I suppose.
22, Mike wins.
Yeah.
Right on.
All right.
Way
I'm
off.
on a roll.
Technically, there is no such thing as a larger half. Half is half. Just ask a carpenter.
The Riddler strikes again.
That's right.
All right.
Measure twice, cut once.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you want me to take us out or do you want to take us out to break?
I think I'd love to have you do that.
All right. I'll take us out to break. You're listening to No Apology with Emily and Chris. We are coming back with Al and Lisa Robertson.
Woo.
And this is going to be a quick break, so stay with us. Again, don't forget, it's all brought to you by listener-supported FreshRoadMedia.com.
Hey, if you enjoy listening to No Apology with Emily and Chris, if you get any encouragement from it, please consider standing with us financially. Go to FreshRoadMedia.com and consider giving a wonderful gift today. It is appreciated.
Welcome to No Apology with Emily and Chris, where we laugh louder, dig deeper, and live larger.
And we are going to pull it together because we have a really good show today.
A really good show.
We've got the Higher Ground Conference coming up, and really the headline for the conference is Al and Lisa Robertson, and we have them today here on the show, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And so welcome to the show, first of all, Al and Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to be with you guys again.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to you guys coming up. Now, have you guys been doing a lot of speaking and touring around, or have you kind of been hunkered down at home a lot lately?
Well, this is kind of our break time, I guess you'd call it, because people don't do a lot of events in the wintertime for obvious reasons. We're all popsicles at the moment. So we've been actually getting to spend some good time with our grandkids at home.
Ooh.
And then this week we got a break from that and got down to our place in Gulf Shores, which we call the Southern Lair.
Uh-huh.
And so that's where we are today. So yeah,
Awesome.
it's been great. A nice little break from all that. But we're ready because you guys are going to be we're cranking up with you guys up there.
I know.
Balmy, Iowa. Yeah.
Leave it to Chris to think. Hey, I know. Let's bring the Robertsons in the middle of the winter.
Yeah,
the end of January.
Hey, during that big cold snap and winter snap from a little bit ago, you texted me and you said, "Hey, I'm so glad the conference isn't this weekend." You must have been looking at the weather up here, huh?
I was thanking our Lord and Savior that he didn't have me stuck with you guys
Yeah, something happens when you get below zero.
I'm telling you, my Southern blood does not do well in where you guys are. So, do the best you can.
Vice versa as well, because we've been to Monroe, Louisiana, and quite honestly, there were a few days where it was like, what are we doing? Like, I can't even breathe. It is so hot and it's so wet, and it's like you're boiling water. Somehow we acclimate, though, don't we?
We were having lunch at Phil and Kay's, and you told me to wait at the door because Phil had to chase some snakes away that one time. And now Phil comes in, oh, it's good. You can go to the car now. We don't have that. The cold weather kills the snakes, so we have that going for us. So you guys are getting ready to come into town, and we're going to have what's called the Higher Ground Conference. We've done a lot of marriage conferences together, and we're going to still do a lot more marriage, but this one's more based on relationships and a real strong head glance, head nod towards discipleship. What have you guys been experiencing in your ministry lately? Because I know you do a lot of marriage, but you also do a lot of other teachings. And let's start with you, Lisa, because I know that your presentations are really starting to take off. I mean, you're doing. Your husband just brags about you that you're now the next Beth Moore, the next Joyce Meyer type presentation.
Yeah, that's just wishful thinking there.
What's it been like being on stage?
He's hoping I'll do that so that he doesn't have to work as hard. No, that's not happening.
If she would just speak more and sell more houses, then I could just be a house husband.
There you go.
That's my goal in life.
You're already a trophy husband.
The Lord wants it to be.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
I'll just be arm candy, and she can just do her thing.
So, Lisa, seriously, I know your presentations they're impacting the kingdom. Tell us about the journey in becoming that dynamic presenter on stage, and we're so happy to have it in Harlan, Iowa, coming up here.
Well, I feel as though I have been down some really dark roads and been in some dark places, but God brought me out of that, and He rescued me, and He redeemed me, and I feel as though that's my job now, is to tell other people. Al usually says we're two beggars, and we're telling other beggars where to get their bread. Right. And, so we feel like that's what we're supposed to do. I definitely feel like that, that my job now, and I don't know if you consider it a job. I don't know if that's a good word for it. My responsibility now is to help other people find their way to Christ, to find that healing and that hope and that redemption that He offers.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Well, let me say, because it's hard for people to talk about themselves, so I'll say something about her style. Lisa has a deep humility when she speaks, and so therefore it's very non-judgmental to people who are listening, because they know it's coming straight out of her heart, and therefore there's a clarity that happens as a result of that. And so, I get to watch it because we do, some presentations together. We do a lot of pro-life stuff, as you mentioned, Chris, and we also do marriage, but we also do just sharing, and just sharing about our lives. And so it's it's a clarity that just cuts through sort of the noise of what people bring into a situation where they come to listen to us, and it's a marvel to watch.
Yeah.
It's a really great thing, and she's really grown in that, and so I get to kind of marvel at what God's doing there with her.
Isn't it awesome, Lisa, when you do a presentation and you see God work in the hearts of people, and you actually get to see it? Isn't it fantastic?
Yeah, it is, and you can really just look out in the audience and tell. Especially when I talk about abortion, you can look out in the audience and tell those women who have that same aching, in their heart. And then whenever, it's over and I meet those ladies, just their hugs and their whispers, I've been where you've been, your life sounds like my life, that kind of thing. And my thought always is back to them, and I always say, but look, you are redeemable, just like I was redeemable. And so, allow God to work in your life and to do his work,
Yeah,
But
exactly.
But it's fun. It's great. And to me, that's what God gives back to me is to see lives that change.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of, it is almost a gift back to us when I just know that there's moments when I've just not even trying to necessarily say something or do something, but you will say something that God then just uses and someone's impacted. And every once in a while, he gives you a glimpse into just the fruit and the worthwhileness of putting yourself out there and telling your story. You don't always get to see it, but when you do,
Right.
it's like a gift back to us, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the presentations coming up January 25th, 26th, and 27th. 25th is going to be a comedy night. Brad Stine is going to headline that night of comedy, and my favorite comic in the whole world will be here. My son Jacob's going to open for him. And then the next day, Friday and Saturday, Al and Lisa Robertson will be here. And tickets are on sale at highergroundlive.com. That's highergroundlive.com. And you can buy individual days if you'd like. And we just would love to have you come and hang out with us. Al, we were talking a little bit earlier before we went on the air about what presentations you're going to be bringing, and it sounds like we're going to go back to the lost child, the lost son talk. I've heard this from you in a couple different formats. Tell us a little bit about how God's using that as you continue to share that around the world.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to tell your audience, I don't know that I've mentioned this before, but we've worked with you guys before. We've done conferences before together, and so we love working with Chris and Emily, so we're super excited about that. So, my presentation has been the same really since I became a Christian, at least, part of it. I'm a pastor, so obviously I preach a lot of sermons like you, but I've always liked to get back to the base of what God did for me to show me how to get to higher ground. That's the name of our conference. And, it just starts there. Every life has to look and see what is God doing to provide me an opportunity to find him and to find my way out of where I'm at. And so I've always been most comfortable there. I'm the oldest son in my family, but I was the younger son in Luke 15. And so, I get that viewpoint of seeing how great our God is to be able to love us so much that he would run to meet us. And so, my pursuit for him started when I was 18 years old, and I came home. I came home to him, and I've never looked back, and I've spent my whole life serving him. So even some of the things that Lisa and I will share together, all those things were, God made it possible for me to overcome every obstacle, because he had brought me to higher ground when I was a young man. And so I love telling that story, but I love showing the biblical side of it and then seeing how it impacts, where folks are. So can't wait to share that as part of this conference.
Well, every time we get together with you guys, we learn a little bit more. We see some more pieces to the puzzle are added, and we get to see your guys' life journey, and it's really exciting. And Lisa, you had said something earlier about how good it was when people would realize they weren't alone because you told your story. And Al, you talk about how you love to tell the story of what God has done for you. But I know that I talk to a lot of people, and I myself even suffer from this, where God has done something amazing, but to turn around and tell somebody else that story can be hard. But you guys have really just laid it all bare for people to see. So what would you tell people who have a great God story to tell other people, whether it's to their family or to a huge audience like you guys, getting over those obstacles to go ahead, tell your story? How did you get over that to a point where you now love to tell those stories?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is don't waste God's victories. That's something that he's done in your life, and he did it for a reason. The second thing I would say is start with one person. You don't have to go out and speak to a large crowd. You don't have to share it in your small group. Start with one person. Tell your story. Whenever you see somebody that's hurting and you have possibly been through some of the same things, walk up to them and say, I'd love to have coffee with you. I'd love to tell you my journey and what God has done in my life. And like I said a while ago, whenever you see those hearts begin to change, it spurs you on to the next person, the next 10 people. Somebody asks you to speak somewhere and you say yes, because you have seen what the power of your testimony is, because, that's how they overcame the evil one.
Right.
And so it is amazing how you feel and how, it's like we talked about, it's a gift. It's just, but I think the first thing is, to just realize that this is God's story. And when his story intersects with your story, it changes lives.
Well, it's like my dad always said, he always used to say, everybody has a story. What's yours? That's that was his opening line for people that came in that he had never met. Everybody's got a story, son. Sit down here and tell me yours.
Yeah.
And so,
chair.
just as simple as that, people have a story. Last night we had some friends over for dinner here, and one of them, our good friends, we'd never met her dad, and he's in his probably mid to late 80s. And I couldn't wait to meet him because I'd heard stories about him. And we just told stories, for 3 hours around a dinner table. And he talked about his life. And of course, it wound up, talking about his life in Christ and what he's tried to do around the world. And I just thought about it. I said, that's the power of story. Everybody's got them. When you meet somebody for the first time, hey, where are you from? And then the story begins. Same time we met you guys for the first time. We didn't know you. We met in Nashville. We start saying, what about this? What about your family? And then all of a sudden we become great friends. And so the sharing of the gospel story is just that. We've got it too complicated that we got to know all the verses and we got to know every Bible place to show them. And look, we're all studied people. We've done this for years, so we know a lot of Bible. But that's not what does it. The story of changed lives are what does it. And you don't have to have that down pat. All you have to do is tell about what he's done for you.
Just keep it to what God has done for you. Al, you did your prodigal son story for one of the bonus features on the movie Bible Idiots, and then your mom and dad sat down with us in 2016, like a year after the film came out, and they did a response to that. We still have that footage, and so that goes in the current DVD that you can buy somewhere. I don't even know who has it, but the point is that story is authentic because it's real, and you guys don't sugarcoat it. And because of the storytelling environment that you guys have, like Miss K, for example. When we're watching the movie The Blind, I can see the historical inaccuracies because I've heard her tell the story. The bathroom scene. I know that that's not exactly how it went down. I know.
That's right.
I mean, but because.
But the message is the same.
The message is the same. But the point is that stories make an impact. And what I was sharing with our people is tell God your story first. Just keep talking to him about it. He'll give you confidence to then continue to share your story. Al and Lisa Robertson coming to Harlan, Iowa, January 25th, 26th, and 27th. The 26th and 27th, the Higher Ground Conference is going to feature them sharing their stories and sharing some presentations, and you can go to highergroundlive.com. You can get single-day tickets. That's one of the objections we've heard is, I can't come all 3 days. And so it's like, we'll make accommodations for you. Let's fill up this room and let's have a good time. Yeah. Guys, anything you want to leave with our audience today before you see them? A lot of them are from Iowa, but we actually are trying to build the audience all over the country. Anything you want to leave with anybody today?
Well, one thing is I would say we're hoping to bring some warmer temperatures with us from the south. That's always a welcome in Iowa, I'm sure, in January. But no, we're really looking forward to an awesome weekend. We're looking forward to hearing what you guys have to share, what some of the other speakers have to share as well. I've always said, if you invest time into your spiritual walk, it will never come back empty. You will always gain spiritual insight. You'll always gain wisdom. It's worth the investment. We invest a lot in a lot of different things in our lives. Why not invest in spiritual growth and to work toward higher ground? So just want to encourage everybody to come out. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to laugh some. Hey, we're funny. We're Dynasty people. It's going to, and we got comedians there, so it's going to be a great.
Hey, I got to ask before you guys jet behind you, and for our audio only listeners, I apologize. I have to do this, but behind you, there's a picture. Is that you guys in Middle Earth getting ready to fight orcs? What is that?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So I put that up, and because this is my Unashamed podcast, booth as well. Okay. And so Jay says, I got a question. Why you got a picture of Jep up in your studio? I said, that's not Jep and Jessica. I said, that's not Jep and Jessica. That's Lisa and I. And he said, well, you don't look like that. And I said, well, I used to. That's
our warrior look.
Yeah, that's
nice.
a gift from our youngest daughter. Apparently, you can send your picture to some website, and they'll make you look like you came out of Middle Earth. So there you go.
Awesome, very good.
I think it's fantastic. Is that what you guys are going to wear on Friday night when you get here?
Possibly.
I would love that.
Depends on the temps, but possibly.
Better get your tickets now to see if that's what they show up in.
Al, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. Safe travels as you get here. We are in prayer for you guys as you continue on in ministry together, because I know you guys are doing a great work through the Lord Jesus Christ. So thanks for your time today.
Thank you, guys. We love you.
We love you too, man. Much more to come right here on No Apology with Emily and Chris from freshroadmedia.com.
Hey, if you enjoy listening to No Apology with Emily and Chris, if you get any encouragement from it, please consider standing with us financially. Go to freshroadmedia.com and consider giving a wonderful gift today. It is appreciated. Welcome to No Apology with Emily and Chris. I should say welcome back. Thanks for listening. Thanks for spending time with us today. Appreciate it. We're laughing louder, digging deeper, living larger, and truly now, this is the portion of the program we're going to be laughing louder.
We are going to be laughing louder. Yeah. We had a chance to open for him more than once over the last 15 years, and Brad Stine is on the guest cam, live from Nashville. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing wonderfully. I completed the Bible in 3 days, and then I learned Greek. I learned Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic within the last 2 weeks, because to me it was a New Year's resolution. I'd always wanted to learn Aramaic, and I thought, well, why not learn Greek and Hebrew as well? So I now read the Bible in Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic simultaneously. I'm trying to read through the Bible twice a week, and so that's kind of me. Again, it's not me judging you or your spiritual walk. No, that's completely your business.
You're a better Christian than everybody, Brad.
Well, it's funny, when the Lord came to me in a dream. I was in sackcloth and ashes the other day, praying for you too, and I was in my prayer closet, as I built it myself out of olive wood. I built it myself. And I was looking at the holy oil that I had mined myself out of Jerusalem, and I remember thinking to myself, what do I do with Chris and Emily? And the reason I say that is because the Lord said that you were all in deep secret sin. And I thought to myself, well, how do I bring it up on the interview? Or Lord, should I keep it to myself? Because I don't want to embarrass you guys.
Right.
We're doing the best we can.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, you know what? Just lightly, whimsily is what I think he said. Winsomely, he said, just kind of broach it so that they'll realize that, oh, I'm onto them. And then it'll help them repent, possibly on camera. And then but that'll be such a help to so many people struggling out there.
Yeah.
And so I just said to the Lord, hey, I'm just a vessel. And so
you know what, Brad? You know what, Brad? Your humility is part of your greatness.
Yeah.
It's funny you should say that, because when the Lord gifted me with humility, I remember thinking to myself, Lord, what do I do with this? I want to shout from the rooftops how humble I am. And he said, do it. He did. He said, do that, because again, it will encourage those who are pride-filled and arrogant and self-righteous. The Pharisees, the legalists. He said, Brad, show them what it can look like. Demonstrate what it looks like. He said, I've been gone a couple thousand years, and so you're the closest I've found to represent, me on earth. And it's a burden.
And it's incredible. It's incredible that he would send, his ultimate prophet in this modern era.
And that's the point. That's my point, Chris, is that it's a little humbling and embarrassing, because like, Lord, that's a lot of responsibility. And he said, Lord, he said, I have looked high and low throughout the earth to find somebody that could shoulder that responsibility, and you were the only one that showed up. So I'm like, all right, if that's what I got to do, but I'm still working on my Aramaic grammar. And he said, it's all right.
It's all right. He'll work through it. He'll work through it. You bet.
Okay. So here I am.
So you're coming to Harlan. You're coming to Harlan, Iowa, in your humility greatness, and it's going to be great this Thursday night live on the stage at Fresh Encounter Church. Brad Stine, my son's rolling into town to open for you, and it's the kickoff of the Higher Ground Conference. I mean, I know you've played stadiums, you've been on national news, you've done movies, but let's be honest, this is going to rank. This is going to rank right up there.
Bring that up. But okay, you're right.
Harlan, Iowa. This is going to possibly, supersede all of them. Isn't that right?
I mean, when I think Harlan, I think deep sophistication, and so
that's right. We got it going on here.
To me, it's like Pieta, Harlan, and so or Sistine Chapel, Corn Palace. So I think so to me, that's really what I look to for. But I will say this, my comedy started out just trying to be funny. It's hard to be. It's hard to do comedy. It's a hard thing, especially when you do it in the comedy clubs. I wanted to work at the highest levels of humor. I wasn't here to just be a church comic, and I would just want to see if I could be a comic, right? And I did for many years in the clubs, and then God kind of called me into the churches, and I thought, well, maybe He just wants to bring clean comedy into the churches. Little did I know that He wanted me to use my style and what He called me to be a voice into the church, a prophetic voice into the season in America. I did not, trust me, I did not sign up for that. I just wanted to be a comic. But I couldn't not say hard things. I couldn't not. And I'm like going, it'd be a lot easier. I'd get a lot further and build a much larger, more robust career if I was like the other guys and was safe and silly and churchy. And I'm like, God, I can't. There's things out there that I have to talk about.
Yeah. I love it. I love following you because you actually, your comedy really moves people. I think about this, put a helmet on and the word wussification. Those are monikers that came from you. The big one for me was the Merry Christmas. I mean, when I hear you talk about the hard stuff, for me personally, it moves me, and it's like, oh yeah, we should just keep saying Merry Christmas. You know what I mean? And it's like you saw those things kind of before most of the people saw it coming. You talked about it. And then people anchored with that. So,
but only now. Only now.
Yeah, it became relevant now. Yeah.
Years. I mean, when I did put a helmet on, that was Thomas Road Baptist Church in front of Jerry Falwell Sr. and his wife.
That's guts.
So that's how old that was. But when I did that, and I did the Christmas rant and whatever, again, it was God's, because when God called me to the church, I'm like going, Lord, I'll go where you send me, but I don't want to dumb it down. I've seen, boy, it's so difficult for me to say what I'm about to say because I don't want it to sound demeaning to anyone. But to me, I was like, this was years ago, not now. I see what has been considered Christian comedy, and it's like, that's not what I want to do. I feel like it's dumbing it down. Now, again, this isn't an insult to people that do comedy with a very churchy vibe to them. They have their place, their calling, just like praise and worship is for the people, right? There's nothing wrong with it, but you don't hear it on top 10 radio because it's a different thing.
Right.
So church comedy, back when I first got into it, was just a handful of people. It was very churchy and so forth. And that's okay. But I said, God, that's not me.
Yeah.
And he goes, why do you think I trained you in nightclubs? That's why I trained you there. In the future, things are going to change in America. And I need you to renew the minds of my people as to the way I'm going to have to communicate so they get used to unorthodox flavors so they can hear the new ways. The message of Jesus never changes. The messenger does. We are in a season in America where we have large swaths of denominations that are heretics.
Yeah.
Heretics. They have abandoned apologetics, they abandoned pure theology and Christian history. They have compromised moral behavior and have broken the commandment of do not take the Lord's name in vain, which means do not carry the Lord's name in vain, which means you do not ascribe to something to God that is the antithesis of him. So if you say God says it's okay that I have sex outside of marriage, you are subscribing a sin to God's nature. That's a breaking of the commandment, and it's
absolutely.
It's bordering on unforgivable.
Yeah.
Because
okay, so you touched on a couple things. Sorry to interrupt you. You touched on a couple things. One of the things that I love is like here we're talking, we're laughing with you, and pretty soon, like before you know it, we're talking about deep stuff. And you mentioned marriage as well. And so my question to you, I got to ask this personal question, is you've got a wife, you've got a family. What's your wife's? Does she think you're funny? Does she roll her eyes at you, or does she laugh at you? Does it make her nervous? What's her response to what you do?
Well, keep in mind, I have 2 kids and 1 wife, so I did it the New Testament way, and I was fidgeting with the Old Testament, but I just decided to go another direction. But yeah, my wife, is a very robust personality. Does not take any flack. She's not afraid to speak her mind. So she's pretty aggressive and stands for what she believes is true. So in that regard, she's very strong and good. Yeah. But I scare the snot out of her because she just, I got to tell you, it's so odd because she's so edgy to a certain degree. Like her and I, one of the big things that we liked in general when we met was Monty Python fans, and we loved Holy Grail and Life of Brian, and we just, and that's sophisticated comedy, but it also silly comedy, but it's also contextual comedy. Like there were people that when Life of Brian first came out were saying, oh, you're slamming Christianity or you're being mocking Christianity. It's like, how did you catch that? They had Jesus they had Jesus talking on the Sermon on the Mount, and then they had this other guy, and everybody started following him. And to me, it was an indictment on don't follow everybody, find the truth. So to me, I thought it was a kind of a cool truth. Don't follow everybody that comes down the pike. Find somebody who represents God and proves it like Christ did. So I always judged context over content. That's what is missing in the church. American Christians are so shallow often and so unable to be sophisticated. It's why my comedy has great fans and has incredible loyal fans and appreciative pastors and prophets and teachers and institutions and fundraisers, because they do see what I'm doing. But how some churches, I'm scary for them because I speak truth.
Yeah.
I do it as a comic. I do it with humor, but I talk about the culture, which to me is the power of comedy. It talks about what is really happening, and I don't get my head cut off. That was the point of the jester in The King. I get to joke, and you don't do anything to me because my purpose is to evaluate culture and hold a mirror up to it. That's my purpose as a comic. It's why it's a very specific art form, and it's not for everybody. It's not easy. So
it's not easy.
I was called to do that thing, and so we are at a breaking point in America. The church is in many ways dying in America. America as we knew it is dying. It's real. It's not pretend. It's not hyperbole. Donald Trump isn't the answer. DeSantis isn't the answer. Republicans aren't the answer. The only chance of a third great awakening in this nation is if his people who are called by his name will humble themselves and repent and turn from their wickedness, and he'll see and hear from heaven. That verse that I think has been so often used by Christians to say, if the people will repent and come to Christ, then God will hear. But it didn't say that. He was talking to the church. He said,
that's so many times in the Bible, people are thinking, that he's talking about the lost. No, he's talking about the lost in the church. And that's always been our calling. And that's why you're a fellow Bible idiot. You know,
and
we merged stand-up comedy and Bible apologetics together, and we had people saying, well, we don't say idiots in this house. And so the project kind of floundered.
You know why? They're idiots.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we know that part. And we're morons wrapped up in idiots. It's a great life, actually. All right, go ahead, Em.
I mean, just as we talk about this Thursday, I want people to understand what I do. Now, many do. People who are fans of mine get it. Like Emily said, she's always kind of liked what I did, but she understood that there was a depth to this that wasn't necessarily what you would see in most Christian comics. And again, it's not me saying I'm better or I'm more important. All I did was do what I felt God told me to do. That's it.
That's
awesome. The only thing I did was I believed
that sounds like us.
You wanted me to be this guy. Yeah, that's all I did differently, or maybe just did what we were all called to do. Follow what God has called you to do. Now, and the truth is, but some churches are scared, like, we like you, but we're afraid that somebody's going to get offended. And I'm like, going, offended about what? If I'm being irreverent, if I'm being blasphemous, if I'm being sinful, if I'm being malicious, if I'm being evil, dark, self-righteous, arrogant,
you just described my preaching style.
Well, and that's really why I'm here today.
I know that. That's why you're coming to Harlan to help set me straight.
The deep sin finally comes out. Yes.
All right.
But if that's a difference, if that's what I was doing, okay, that's fine. Then that maybe is inappropriate and should give you pause. But if on the other hand, if you believe in prophetic voices throughout the church history, that's my calling. I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that with any sense of pride. I don't like it. I didn't want to do this. I wanted to be a comic because that was fun. It was easy. I just joke. Everybody laughs. They pay me. I go home. It was easy. I don't have a lot of time left on this earth. So I'm going to leave a legacy. I'm going to leave this nation and my family and my life on this three-dimensional plane as though Jesus is exactly who he said he was. I'm going to live this life like it's true, that there is an eternal destiny, that I will be with and see my family someday. I will be in a place that's so unique and so filled with love that marriage doesn't even exist anymore because we've transcended that into something deeper. My children will not be my children anymore, but will in fact will be God's, and we will all be unique. He said he's making mansions for us individually. Guess we're not living together. Guess we just got our own mansion.
Whew.
I don't even understand that. There's
no more worries about putting the lid
Christianity.
down.
There is a depth to it. Well, at least nobody's going to be telling me to pick up my underwear.
That's right. That's right.
But the whole point of the matter is to your people out there in Harlan. If you are tired of wishy-washy Christianity, those who cowardly pastors who will not stand unapologetic for the truth, who will not speak truth, and embolden Christians to say, I'm not apologizing for this. It's true. It's my life. It's my commitment. And if it costs me, so be it. The problem in the church in America is for this many years, it's never cost us anything. And now we're paying for that.
Now we got to pay a price.
Absolutely.
You're on a show called No Apology.
Yeah.
That's the title of the show, No Apology with Emily. Go ahead,
So
Em.
I love how you
apologize for coming on then.
No apology, no room for that. But I loved how you talk about you really felt by God through your comedy to confront culture. And I got to be honest, I think that's every Christian's calling is to be confronting the culture where they are. Yeah, final thoughts before we let you go. What do you want to say?
Well, I would say to you, Emily, you're exactly right. And I do believe that, yes, you laugh because I'm funny. I'm a comic. I'm supposed to be funny. But I believe that my style and what I talk about is designed to embolden Christians to go, I have to go out into the marketplace and do likewise.
Yeah.
I'm not a comic. I do it at my business. I do it at my home. I do it at my school. But I'm going to live this Christianity like it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not apologizing for it. If he's truly God, it's time to act like it.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. That is like, how do you top that statement?
Well, here's what you do. Go ahead, Brad.
Well, come out to the show. Bring your friends. Bring your non-believing friends. Bring your even conservative, maybe atheist or non-Christian friend, or more conservative, care about free speech, care about liberty, because they'll enjoy it too. And just see what God might do. This is kind of hopefully a launch of doing this throughout the nation, of just kind of reinvigorating and bringing the spirit back to the church to embolden it. And there'll be less churches maybe, but they'll be the ones that count because they're the remnant.
Right, the remnant out of Romans chapter 11. Brad Stine live in Harlan on Thursday night. Individual day tickets are on sale. Go to highergroundlive.com. highergroundlive.com. Tickets are still available as of today, and so we'd love to see you there. Brad, thank you so much for being with us, and I just can't wait to see you on Thursday. It's going to be a blast, and I just love good comedy. I will leave you with this thought. Well, we'll pick it up when you get here. You got,
all right.
You got another thing.
First curiosity.
Well, I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I have to start fasting and praying for your souls even as we speak. So I got to go. But in the meantime, if you guys could try to go one day without sinning, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Hey, No Apology with Emily and Chris coming up with more on our Higher Ground Conference right after this.
Hey, if you enjoyed listening to No Apology with Emily and Chris, if you get any encouragement from it, please consider standing with us financially. Go to freshroadmedia.com and consider giving a wonderful gift today. It is appreciated. Welcome back to No Apology with Emily and Chris. So glad you're with us. It's an exciting day.
Yeah.
Lots of guests. We've never really done this before. And so we are indeed laughing louder, digging deeper, and living larger. Another day in paradise, right?
Yeah, it's the Higher Higher Ground Conference preview show.
Good job.
And we've got a very special guest coming into the studio with us via the eCam. His name is Rob Roozeboom. Rob, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about Rise Ministries, which is what Rob has founded. He is a late inning relief pitcher coming to the Higher Ground Conference. He's going to be speaking Friday night, and we kind of coerced him into it. It's kind of like we kind of put on the puppy eyes and guilted him. Rob, you want to come down a few hours and maybe speak to our people? And no, all jokes aside, it's just been exciting because you got such a great story. The Lord's using you, and for you to come alongside us with what we do, we think it's going to be really, really cool. But what got you excited about coming to Higher Ground and sharing your story?
You know, we said it a long time ago that if God opens the door, we kind of want to walk through it. So very, very seldom do we say no. And this just happened to be one of those opportunities. We love the opportunity to talk about what God has done, our faith in Jesus, and just being able to share with people, be real, raw with them. I don't know. We're just so grateful for the opportunities. And I got challenged many, many years ago that when God opens a door, just go. So
awesome.
Like,
Well,
all right.
he's been opening doors for you because you're the founder of Rise Ministries, correct? And
Correct,
you bring in this Rise Fest every year. And I have to tell you, I mean, there's a lot of people that go and grow from the work that you're doing in that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we actually just onboarded a new team member today. So we went to lunch, and of course they're asking questions. And one of the team members that's been with me for the longest, I think she's going on 12 years. She's our creative director. She said to me, Rob, were you always a visionary? And I was like, well, most of the time I don't even consider myself a visionary. However, I said when I was. And then she brought up, well, when you graduated college, didn't you start Rise Ministries? And I was like, yes. Instead of going to graduation, I went to a conference in Colorado with Ken Davis, and that launched Rise Ministries. And so Rise Ministries started, and then it was about 3-4 years in. We started in 2001, so we're going on almost 23 years of ministry now.
Wow.
And my wife and I, our story is muscular dystrophy. And so we had been invited way back when to the Jerry Lewis Telethon. So in 2001, 2002, we were invited to the Jerry Lewis Telethon, had the opportunity to meet Tony Danza and Reba McEntire and Jerry Lewis and Ed McMahon and you name it.
Yeah.
So I had never really heard about a Christian music festival before. I didn't know what they were, hadn't really been around them. All these years later, now that I think back to it, I remember a festival when I was a freshman in high school that I went to somewhere in Wilmer, Minnesota. I didn't even know what the thing was. I was there. I was kind of a rebellious, delinquent teenager. I was there with church friends.
Yep.
And this guy was on the stage singing Friends Are Friends Forever. And I'm like, what is this?
Michael W.
Michael W. singing at Sunshine Festival is what I learned all these years later.
Yeah.
And so going back to the muscular dystrophy thing, the reason I bring that up is there was a festival going on from 01, 02, 03, 04, 05 called Life Flight in South Dakota. And people are like, hey, you've been no, I've never even I don't know what you're talking about. I've been in LA or wherever doing these shows to just bring awareness about muscular dystrophy and things like that. Well, one of our team members came to me and said, Rob, you should go. Okay, fine. I'll go some summer. And it was beautiful. This beautiful festival is happening. And then he says to me, I think we should start one. I said, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. No, we're not going to start a festival. Why would we start a festival?
In our spare time, let's get it done.
Yeah. I mean, they're 60 miles down the road. This doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And anyway, we end up meeting with their leadership team. They help us launch in 2005. We launched the first festival. And it was free at the time. We did that for a couple of years. And then it actually went to a ticketed event. And the next thing I know, we fast forward, we were just talking about this today at lunch and how it kind of started with this new team member and how our philosophy's changed a little bit from free to ticketed and why that is, and how we were in one community, and then we went bigger with the artist, and we lost our shorts for a couple of years, and we didn't think we would ever do another festival. 2010, we don't even host a festival because we have zero money. And I remember my son, I think he was 7 years old at the time. We were leaving my old stomping grounds of Worthington, Minnesota, and Brian Head Welch had just been at the high school giving his testimony. And my son's 7, and he's like, "Dad, what was that about tonight?" I was like, "Well," I said, they were doing church tonight." And he's like, "Huh?" He goes, "That was nothing like the church we go to."
Yeah. Brian Head Welch doesn't give the vibe of church.
No, he doesn't. I said, "Bud, no, it's not like our church at the time." And he goes, "Is it more like your festival?" And I said, "Yeah, Bud, it's more like the festival." And he goes, "Are you doing it this year?" This is back in 2010. I said, "No, Bud, we're not." He goes, "Why not?" I said, "Because I don't have enough money." And he goes, "Is it just your money?" I said, "No, Bud, it's not just my money." He goes, "You pool everybody's money together." I said, "Yes." And he goes, "And you still don't have enough?" I said, "No, Bud, we don't." He goes, "Dad, if you bring it back, I will give you all of my money." And in that moment, what I learned was, A, he has no money. I mean, he's got zero. But what I learned and what I took back to the board was, I don't ever want to have the conversation again on whether or not the festival is valuable or important. I was so focused on trying to make it work and go in the lane that I thought we were supposed to go in. I did not see what it was doing to my own family. And so here's this festival that, yes, it's been up, it's been down, it's been challenging, it's been heartbreaking. And yet it was ministering to my own family that I was like, okay, let's bring this back. We'll do it much smaller. We'll try to contain it, control it a little bit better. That happened in 2011. Fast forward 2012, our personal community comes calling. And I tell them, no, I don't want to move it. I know what I have in this other area. I don't want to move it. I met with a good friend, and he goes, "Well, Rob, you have a decision. Do you want to risk?" I said, "No, man. I am so sick of risking. I'm so tired. I don't want to risk." He goes, "Well, there's your answer." I said, "Fantastic." It was a Thursday. We're having Pizza Ranch, and I made a decision. We're not moving the festival. Fast forward to Sunday, my wife's singing on the praise team with a gentleman who's in our community that was on the city board or something like that, on the marketing team or something. He got in my wife's ear during practice and said, "What is it going to take to get Rob to move this festival to Sheldon, Iowa?" And she's like, "He made up his mind. He's not going to move it." He's like, "No, seriously, what is it going to take?" So they're done singing. She comes to sit by me during the sermon, and she's like, "Hey, so-and-so was just in my ear saying what?" I said, "Shh, it's supposed to be time for the sermon right now."
Honor the Lord, woman.
Yeah. So I'm like, "God, what are you saying?" I thought the decision was made. I go home for lunch. My cell phone goes off. It's his wife, who's on the marketing team, and said, "Rob, what is it going to take to get this festival to come to Sheldon, Iowa?" And the next thing I know, I'm on the phone. We're a part of the Luis Palau Next Generation Alliance. Now it's Next Generation Evangelists. And I called them and I said, "Guys, you go into cities all the time. I need to know what you asked for." And they gave me a list of 9 things. And I went back to Sheldon to some of the leaders that were asking for it. And I said, "I need all 9. I can't have 8. It's 9. And they said, "Yeah, we can do it." I'm like, no. Well, they checked all the boxes. Rise Fest moves to Sheldon, Iowa. It has been the craziest roller coaster I've ever been on. It's a Christian, family-friendly, there's something for everyone at this Christian music festival. But we talked again today. It went from a 1-day to a 2-day. It's gone from a couple thousand people to 20,000 over 2 days in a community of 5,500 at best, 5,400.
Yeah, God's involved.
Yeah, it's just been crazy. And today when we onboarded our new team member, I said, "But I want you to understand, Rise Fest is more than music. It's a mission, period. The music's important, absolutely important, and we want the best artists that we possibly can get. Mm-hmm. But if it ever just becomes about the music, then we miss the boat.
Yeah,
I said, I wanted to do, yeah.
The website is riseministries.com and riseministries.com. And we have the founder, Rod Roozeboom, is with us right now. He's going to actually be at the Higher Ground Conference. He's one of the speakers on Friday night. I want to talk about two more things while we've got the time, Rob. In a minute, I want to get back to the muscular dystrophy, why you're so passionate about it. Because, just based on the camera view and the audio-only listeners, they're not going to know the story right now.
Sure.
But I want to, before we get there, I want to bring up the idea of 25,000 people or 23,000? Yeah. I don't remember what.
25,001.
In one. Tell me why that is important, because I would love to be the 25,001 person. I mean, I want to see it happen for you this year, and there's a really cool reason why. Share that story with the folks.
Yeah, so this year at RiseFest 2024, we're going after 25,001. And you're like, why 25,001? In 1924, the largest gathering took place here in Sheldon, Iowa, and it was the KKK. On record in the museum of the Sheldon Public Museum Library, there is a display of the newspaper article of 25,000 Klans members gathering in Sheldon, Iowa in 1924. I believe the actual dates were June 16, 17, 18. When I first heard this, I thought, RiseFest is the largest gathering in Sheldon, or one of them, maybe not the largest. And then this was brought to my attention maybe 5 years ago. I was like, man, really? And then it went from, man, really, to, that really rubs me the wrong way. Mm-hmm. That sucks. I mean, that's really starting to irritate me, that our community for 100 years, the largest gathering is what we're against and who we're against and what we can't stand. And all of a sudden it's like, but God, you brought this festival here. Yeah. What would it look like if 100 years later, whatever took place 100 years ago is broken with 25,001?
Breaking the record.
Yeah.
And honoring the Lord and doing it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that goal. That's really impressive. And it's a great goal to have. It's a great godly goal to have. When people come to these Rise festivals, what is it that you really want them to take away? And is that desire for a takeaway really any different from the people that come like to the Higher Ground Conference? What is it that you want people to come away from with the work that you're doing?
Yeah,
more than an autograph from the latest band.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's such a great question. And it's really multifaceted. I mean, number one, I want them, if they don't know Jesus, I want them walking away with a relationship with Jesus. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if they have that relationship, but they're a little lukewarm, or they're not doing anything with that relationship, I want a burning desire in their belly to just love Jesus and to love others, to get out there and actually live out their faith. I mean, that is so important to me. And then the other thing is I want people to build memories.
Yeah.
We live in a world where, I mean, the Bible talks about our life being but a vapor, right? We think we're going to be around forever. And the next thing you know, health isn't what we thought it was going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a lot of memories from festivals over the last 15, 20 years. And we were actually at a festival, and I don't know, could have been Wilmer. Were you at the festival, Rob, when Michael W. Smith's piano went out of tune really, really bad because of the humidity in the summer?
I think I missed that.
Okay, yeah. I don't remember if that was Wilmer or where it was, but
somewhere in Minnesota. I know it was somewhere in Minnesota.
Yeah, we brought a Minnesota youth group there.
Yeah.
That was way, way back in the day.
It was so humid. His piano, he has this big, beautiful grand piano out on stage, and because of the humidity, it just fell out of tune. There was no hope for him, and so they thankfully had a keyboard, and so we got to watch Michael W. Smith just crouched behind a little keyboard, plinking away.
Yeah, they brought him out a Casio.
Yeah, they did. But he rocked it. It was great.
He finished the set. He's a pro. Hey, Rob, with the time we got left, let's talk a little bit about muscular dystrophy and why you are meeting Jerry Lewis and all the other ones you mentioned at the top of the interview. A lot of it has to do, and people may not know this, but much of your life is in a chair, and you're an inspiration to so many, and that's why we thought if you are willing to come down to Harlan, we will make time for you on stage to share your story. And you do a lot of speaking, and you try to bring the glory back to God. But for many folks, me included, just haven't hung out with you. We had lunch together in December, and you just have an inspirational story of the journey that you have to take day by day because of this condition that you're afflicted with. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so muscular dystrophy there's 43 different types under the actual name of muscular dystrophy. My specific type takes away my limbs and my girdle. So that would be my waist, my thighs, my biceps, my shoulders, so much so that walking, standing, getting out of a chair yourself, rolling over in bed by yourself, it just becomes impossible. And so we know that it's progressive. I was told that when I was diagnosed at 5 years old. It's a progressive disease. Okay, that's great. Jerry Lewis fought it for over 50 years. $1 billion been given to research. We're going to beat this. I mean, we're just going to beat it. And so now I'm approaching a landmark age in my world of the big 50. I got a few years to go, but it's coming. And I remember sitting with my wife probably, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, one night being like, I never thought it'd get this bad. I thought we would have beat it by now with all the research, with all the focus on it. I know it's progressive. I know that I started at 5. I was like every other kid, could do almost every physical activity there was. I played sports till I was a freshman in high school. I lost that in baseball. Just couldn't do it anymore. The body started wearing out on me. I walked up and down steps at my high school my sophomore year. I went to do it my junior year, took the first step, and it wouldn't happen. It was done. It was over.
Tough age for that to happen, man.
It was brutal. And then I drove a car, I think, until I was 20, 21. And then I had to buy an SUV because the car was too low to the ground. Or, somebody had to help us get an SUV. And then it was, okay, now I can't get out of the chair myself. Now I can't go up steps the same way. It's like, okay, I'm progressing, but I'm progressing a little bit slower. That's okay. We're going to beat this. We're going to beat this. We're going to beat this. 35 to maybe 38 years old, I feel as though I plateaued. I was able to stabilize in my mind. I hit 40, and it was like the bottom fell out. It was just the progression that they were talking about, I started to see and experience. And then in 2022, I'd never broken a bone before. And God had given me an extremely hard head. So every time I hit it on the concrete or rocks or whatever, you just get back up. My nose is a little crooked because I fell out into a parking lot one time and it banged up. And it taken some really hard hits, but never broken anything. Then all of a sudden one day I'm in my garage and I used to walk from the furthest stall now to the closest stall. And it was, I could walk across the garage. Then it was, I can walk using the wall. Then it was, I can walk with assistance. Then it was, oh yeah, you're not walking anymore. And I fell one night, broke my collarbone. I was like, okay, so I can break things. That stinks. Then 5 days after our largest festival in 2022, I broke my foot. And I was like, oh. And I came out of that after 8 weeks in a boot, and I could no longer walk, even with assistance. So my normal changed completely. Lifts had to be used around the house. Showering, standing up was a faded memory. It was not going to happen anymore. Moving around in the bathroom myself was done. All these independent things, and I've been told that I was a very, very independent child. I mean, I didn't like to be held. I didn't, none of that stuff. And to lose that I've been on a journey with God for quite some time.
Yeah.
I was in the devotions this morning. When we start talking about how wrestling with God, and I understand that journey of just wrestling through challenges and adversities and afflictions, and so fast forward to 47. I'm 47 now. I just broke another bone. I'm laid up right now as we talk. I broke my femur that goes into my knee. It's fractured at the moment. I'll be at the doctor again tomorrow for x-rays for the third time. It's changed my normal again. And so the independent life that I so loved in all reality, it's a faded memory. There is very, very little that I do on my own anymore. Very little.
I bet
there's still a chance that you may not be able to make it on that Friday night, but we're still praying through. We're still hoping that everything comes about, that this Friday night, you will be healthy enough to roll up on the stage and share your story with our people, and that's our goal. We thank you for taking the time today with us.
Yeah, we're going to be praying that for you, for your healing, that you'll be able to make it on Friday, because you have a whole lifetime of stories of obviously wrestling with God. And so,
and as you can tell, he can't talk a lick.
Yeah.
So.
So I'm really looking forward to it, because when we do wrestle with God and then we share those stories with other people, it really does help others grow in their faith, understand a little bit more the reality of God. And so are there any final thoughts you want to leave with us today before you go?
I'm just so thankful that you guys invited. I love the questions. I love the opportunity. As Chris said, I could talk for hours about what God has done.
And we could listen.
There have been moments where we were in a full out, I don't want to say fist fight, but I wanted to put him in a headlock and not let go.
Yeah.
And I've really, really been on this journey. And I think what I'm going to give you, I'm going to say it now, because I think this is what the title will be for that night, if you guys like it.
Awesome.
But the journey has been, where I'm coming to is God's goodness outlives grief.
Oh, yeah.
And so it does not, I'm not saying it replaces grief. It just outlives it.
Yeah.
Because grief
is writing it down.
Yeah, Chris is writing it down.
I got to publish the thing before the conference starts. So.
That's right. That's right. And so what I want people to hear today is, if you are in a wrestling match or you're coming out of a wrestling match, when you talk about God's goodness outlives grief, this is what I'll give more about that later. But kind of the context of that is, I have learned that joy and grief coexist. Meaning, just because you have joy, it does not mean you don't have grief. And just because you have grief does not mean all your joy has to be erased.
Yeah.
You can have the mountaintop experience and the valley at the very same moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll do all I can not to steal that, because I'm speaking right before you. I'm speaking on discipleship. We're clean. We're clean.
Oh, man.
But I mean, that's a lot about where God has taken me. And I just want people to understand that grief, I don't even like talking about it, but grief is biblical, and it's okay to grieve. I need people to hear that. It's okay to grieve. It does not make you weak or less than.
Yeah.
That's
well,
yeah.
The thing that attracted me the most to you was your honesty straight out when we first sat down to eat. I love talking straight with people, just telling them what's on my heart. And I don't mind getting corrected, and I don't mind correcting other people. But we pulled up and we got out of the car, and your van pulled in right next to us, and we're like, hey, that's Rob. We're meeting for the first time, so we're just hanging out. And your caretaker guy was getting the chair out of the car and everything. Yep. And we get in there, and the first thing you say to me is, you say, do you know how uncomfortable it is to have somebody that you're meeting for the first time sit and stare and watch you do that? I'm like, I thought we were trying to be helpful. I'm like, dude, just dime me hard. And I felt horrible. And it's like, I will never do that again.
Although, Chris, after that and taking this fall, because that's how I took the fall to break my knee, was getting in. But it wasn't with Corey, it was with my wife.
Okay.
I think I gotta take a step back and say maybe next time it's okay to watch, because then you got help right away.
Hey, you know what? When you're sold out to Jesus, you don't mind sharing the truth with people, and you don't try to hurt their feelings. But it's better to be truthful. And we've talked about different festivals, different things, and we've just had these great, honest conversations. That's why I'm excited that you're coming. The website is called riseministries.com, riseministries.com. And Rob, we're looking so forward to having you with us. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, you guys, I know you got a radio background, but you two do. I mean, this is fun.
It is fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's our pleasure. We'll have you back.
Yeah,
we'll have you back because I want to.
When your book comes out, you're going to be a guest for sure.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
We're going to download that.
And I want to see that goal that you have met. I want to see that met. So yeah,
we'll work it all out.
We'll do what we can to help you do that.
All right, we're going to be right back with final thoughts and wrapping up this show. It's the preview to the Higher Ground Conference. Keep it right here on No Apology with Emily and Chris, a product of FreshRoadMedia.com.
Hey, if you enjoy listening to No Apology with Emily and Chris, if you get any encouragement from it, please consider standing with us financially. Go to FreshRoadMedia.com and consider giving a wonderful gift today. It is appreciated. Hey, thanks so much for joining us with the show today. That is just a taste of what you'll experience at the Higher Ground Conference this weekend. What a great show. One of our best, I think. Al Robertson, Rob Roozeboom, and of course, really funny Brad Stine.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, they are all coming to Harlan, Iowa.
Yeah, it all kicks off this Thursday. Tickets still are available. You can go to highergroundlive.com and get single-day tickets. And the comedy show on Thursday night, I guess I'm the most excited about that because it's the first one up. Yeah. It's the first thing that's happening. And Brad's going to be here. And our venue at Fresh Encounter Church is so spectacular for comedy.
It's going to be great.
And so I just can't wait for us to just actually put that theory into practice. It's going to be fun. We'd love to have you there. Here's what we want you to do. Tell your family, friends, make Facebook posts, and go to freshroadmedia.com and give your best gift right now to help us make this Higher Ground Conference a reality in a lot of other places. Yep. This is a bunch of like-minded people coming together to strengthen the true believer to stand firm for such a time as this. It's going to be an encouraging weekend, an encouraging time, and we want you all to be a part of it in some way, shape, or form. The website for the conference is highergroundlive.com. If you go to highergroundlive.com, you can use a screenshot of a QR code and get your tickets there.
Yeah,
and
easy to do.
$50 gets you in all 3 days. Otherwise, $25 for whatever day you can make it, and you'll be glad that you did. Yeah. So that's all I have to say about that.
All right.
Thursday,
so good
Friday,
show,
Emily. Good show.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning. Thursday and Friday night. Saturday morning. Come for all of it. Come for part of it. Go to not Fresh Road Media.
Highergroundlive.com. Highergroundlive.com.
My head's swimming.
Fresh Encounter Church is our host.
Now.
That's where I'm the senior pastor, and we're just trying this. I used the word incubate way too much, and Emily got mad. We're doing this in this.
We're not incubating anymore.
Emily and I will go anywhere and share the gospel. We can travel from Harlan, Iowa to anywhere on a Friday night and Saturday morning to do a conference. Marriage conference looks like where we're going to put a lot of our focus. Relationship, discipleship, like what we're doing this weekend. Yeah. And so we just really believe that this was the right place where God has sent us and where he's going to keep us, and where my pastorship of Fresh Encounter is number one and number 1A, and Fresh Road Media is Emily's number one. And so together we're kind of doing this with Fresh Road Media and Fresh Encounter Church and highergroundlive.com. Yeah. And Al Robertson wants to be a part of it. Brad Stine wants to be a part of it. And they don't want to be a part of it because it's another conference. It's another paycheck. They want to be a part of it because it's going to change lives. Yeah. And you will be stronger if you come to all 3 sessions. You will be encouraged, enlightened. You'll have humor. You'll have it all. Yeah. And I just,
we'll be laughing louder, digging deeper,
takeaways,
and living larger at the conference as well.
Yes,
so tell your friends, please share the information. And then don't forget, join us back here next week. Your home base is freshroadmedia.com.